What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Trevor Alexander here from Find a Black Agent at the Kitchen Table. For all of our new listeners, the Kitchen Table is the media outlet for Find a Black Agent, where we have conversations with professionals across the country, people in the real estate ecosystem, the finance ecosystem. And I'm super excited about our conversation today because it is, in my opinion, one of the cornerstones of all money, all finances, and that is credit, credit worthiness, ability to pay people back, capital, funding, how to take your business, both real estate wise and for all my other people working on ventures outside of just real estate. Money is always an issue, right? So the gentleman, the professional I have on today is a brother to me, someone I know I have in my life. And we're going to just have a super informal conversation, but it's going to be a lot of gems sprinkled throughout it. With no further ado, I have Dennell Hines Jr., CEO of Secure Consulting LLC, also known as Dennell Will Win. All depending on where you met him at, where you seen him at. He's been blowing up on social media, and he's helped hundreds and hundreds of people. Dennell, how you doing today, my brother?
Man, I'm amazing, Mr. Alexander. How you feeling today?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. We got over here. Nice first start to the day. And I'm just excited. I know I would have loved to do this in person with you. I know we got CIAAs going on. I know there's all types of stuff, but best believe we got a lot of conversations in the future. So this is just one of many.
Yes, sir, man. Let's do it.
Let's get it, man. So Dennell, for anybody who has not met you, right? It's the first time hearing you. Just tell us who you are. Tell us kind of who you are in a few sentences, and who do you serve?
Yes, sir. So first things first, Rich Risings, everybody. My name is Dennell Hines, and I'm the CEO or business coach and CEO of Secure Consulting LLC, where you invest in self, you invest in your wealth. I help multitudes of people, young, old, seasoned, unseasoned. But really primarily my market is people who are 9-to-5ers or entrepreneurs who are trying to better their life through credit worthiness, lendability, and credibility. So you can use your credit to invest into assets.
Man, that's real. That's real. And so, take us back, right? How did you get into this world? And I can see that you're extremely passionate about it. What has kept that motor driving, right? So just take us back a little bit, maybe 5 years on, what has got you into this world of credit, and what have you been learning in it?
Yes, sir. So kind of crazy, actually. So if you remember 5 years ago, we was just graduating from Morgan State University, go Bears. Came home, did the whole 9-to-5 thing, trying to figure out, my path in life and what was best for me. Something very traumatic happened to me, February 22, $50,000 was stolen from me, from my house. And for 6 months, it was just like, man, like money was just something that controlled everything for me. I didn't really know any other out besides, financials. July 27, 22, my big brother and mentor, Lamont Lassie Jr. hit me up. I made a very conscientious move to bet on myself, which is the best bet I could make. And 4 years later, I've helped not hundreds, but thousands of people, really fix their credit profiles, really change their life and change it more into business, and start to realize that all you really need in life is really yourself. So small story there, never played high school basketball, played college basketball, lived at home for many years, took a mentorship and bet on myself, ended up moving to one of the most prestigious cities and living downtown. And last but not least, just really finding ways to invest in myself using your biggest asset besides your mind and your time, which is your credit.
That's fire. That's fire, man. Success loves speed, right? That's a quote I see you share a lot. So to see the amount of success that you've had in a short period of time, both personally and becoming a coach, right? Becoming a coach, I seen it accelerate your speed, right? Because now you drawing up plays, you're putting things into motion, people are dependent upon you, right? Pivoting to something that we know we all hear a lot, here at Find a Black Agent, we've got hundreds of people across the country buying homes, selling homes, investing in homes. And the conversation of, I don't got access to money, right, to renovate a home. I don't got access to money to, I can't even get lending from a company for a traditional mortgage, right? My credit score is a 520, or I've got this thing that I've been trying to clean up for 2 or 3 years now and I haven't gotten to it. What is your message to the people who believe that funding is not out here for everyday African American people and just the larger Black, diaspora?
So me and my business partner and my brother have a saying, right? You could be broke today, fix your credit tomorrow, and be wealthy the third day, right? And I'm not saying credit is the thing that you're going to be wealthy with, but it's the tool that you're going to use to acquire assets, right? Which will then bring wealth. A lot of people make excuses which don't make you better, right? So just like the other day, somebody told me that I can't find time to do anything, but you'll find time to go to Starbucks and go to work for somebody else and do a multitude of things. And it's like, when does that excuse stop, right? It's money here for everybody, right? It's money here for me, it's money here for you, which we both experienced. And it's just through a little bit of discipline and accountability and understanding that, again, your credit profile, aka your adult report card, will be the thing that can help you get the funds that you need, because all you really have to do is be lendable and credible to the bank or to anybody extending credit.
To anybody, I like that. I like that. So we're gonna speak a little bit more about that. Let's keep going on that, right? So credit profile. What makes a strong credit profile in 2026 and beyond, right? When someone comes to you and says, Dennell, in the next 6 months to a year, I want to start taking my credit serious and establishing a strong credit profile. What are some of the different pieces that you're looking at, maybe diagnosing, maybe telling them to go look at so that they can start their journey of getting funding?
So we all know the myth behind Credit Karma, right? It is inaccurate. It doesn't show my stuff correctly. Ooh, you know my saying, right? I don't care about your score.
Okay.
I care about your what? Hold on. Your profile, right?
Okay.
So as I can see here, right? Here's the thing that I always tell people. Your adult report card don't change. You can move from VA to California, right? In the school system, and no matter what, this will follow you, correct?
Correct.
Same thing here. People worry about their score too much. I don't care about your score. Your score differentiates between all different sites, credit reporting agencies, etc. I care about your profile. This don't change, right? And what I tell people is, as long as that main one, tests, quizzes, homework, classwork, homework, participation, and attendance, right? We're right back in high school. Well, not derogatories, right? But the 2 and 3, those are your credit factors. And as long as your adult report card or your, personal credit factors are making sense, you're fine. So what I tell people is this: as long as that number says 100%, your credit card usage is 30% or less, your credit age, when it comes to personal credit lending, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, but you don't have to stress if it's now 5 years or 4, right? As long as you got something there. The threshold of 7, you want to have at least 7 open positive accounts with a good credit mix. And you want to keep this number under 3 or less.
Okay.
Right? So your adult report card or your personal credit profile is really important, and understanding the things that go into those factors will help you understand your personal credit score.
That's fire. That's fire. You said something there I want you to dive a little bit more into, right? You got your credit profile, it follows you. And then a lot of people get so fixated on a score, right? Why is that? Can you share something with the audience in terms of they look on Credit Karma, they see this score, they then go to get a car or get a home or something, and they're like, oh my God, they got me 20 points under or 20 points over, right? So from what I'm hearing, are these different lenders looking at different algorithms or FICO scores and things of that nature, and people just need to know that it's part of the game versus being upset about it?
Yes, sir. So there's FICO 7, FICO 8, FICO 9. They got Banter scores, which is the CRA scoring model. In the mortgage game, right, you have a mortgage score, right? So everybody's going to have a different lending criteria, right? Which then, if you think about it, right, the score don't matter. When you really think about it, the score don't matter. When I come to you and I show you my Credit Karma and then you pull something and you're the mortgage lender and yours is 20 points or 30 points under because it's a different scoring model, at that point, we got to start thinking score and start thinking, okay, well, if my score is not the thing that's going to get me the house, it has to be the other side, right? Which is your profile. really understanding your profile and building your profile, that again does not change. I don't care where you're going to get whatever auto loan, home loan, personal line of credit, personal loan, credit card, a firm account, whatever you're doing. As long as the profile does not change, or not gonna say does not change, but as long as the profile is where you want it to be, you're fine. It's just when, like you said, you start looking at your scores, you're not knowing that your adult report card really matters and makes your actual credit score. And then you get mad when you get denied because the whole time you've been looking at your score in Credit Karma or Identity IQ or My Free Score Now or whatever you're looking at, and not looking at your actual credit profile. You got to make sure you keep very close tabs on that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if I'm understanding right, because the lender, and there's so many different lenders out here, have essentially, it's their choice, right? It's their choice on whether they want to lend you money or not, personally, for business, even for all these larger assets like homes, cars, whatever it might be. If I'm hearing it right, a profile is more important than the score, because at the end of the day, you've got to understand what they're looking for in a profile. So if I need money and my profile might show that I've never had a credit card over $5,000, the likelihood of me being able to go out and get a $500,000 loan from, a certain lender may not be likely, right? So you're saying basically people need to be thinking about reverse engineering, taking that time to figure out what am I trying to obtain, and then does my profile fit what these people are lending on, right? Is that, am I kind of thinking about that right, between the difference of profile and score?
Bingo. So I always tell people, right, where does your score come from? Right? Your profile makes the score.
Okay.
Not the score makes the profile, right? If you got a 600 credit score, cool. If you have an 800 credit score, cool. I still want to see your profile, right? Because you could have an 800 score, right, Trevor? And I have a 680, but I got 20 accounts to your one. And let's use your example. Your one account's a student loan. My 20 accounts is $10,000 credit cards, $20,000 personal line of credits, auto loans, student loans, and et cetera. Now I'm deemed more lendable, right? Remember the difference between lendability and credibility, right? We can't be credible until we're lendable, right? So I'm more lendable because I have more accounts reporting and I'm taking care of those compared to your one. Then let's talk about that $5,000 to that $500,000 loan, right? You only got a $5,000 credit card. Now you're trying to go to Chase and get a $50,000 or $500,000 personal line of credit or credit card. Whole time they're looking at you like, you do understand you are lendable, right? Technically, but you're not credible. You don't have enough things on your report for us to extend you credit. You know what I'm saying? And in reality, you're not even really lendable if you think about it. But again, you have an 800 credit score. They pulled your credit. You're paying that one account, 100% payment history. So you're technically lendable, but you're not credible. You don't meet the criteria to be extended this credit or this high credit limit. So it's not a lot to it, but just remember, nobody should care about your score, because what makes your score? Your profile.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a ton of sense. I know we all got a love for sports. It's kind of like your record might look clean, but the question is, who have you played, right? And who have you actually played? What competition have you went up against, right? It's for all my college football fans out there, it's almost like you got 10 teams that they're trying to figure out who should they place in the playoffs, and it's strength of schedule. It's who's gone through actual real competition versus a team that hasn't played nobody and may have looks like a perfect profile, but there's still some more pieces that got to be taken into account versus that, right? So, not solid. Okay. So then I've seen you pivot, right, over time, where initially you were going hard with personal credit, right? Getting people right there, building them up. And I certainly, by the end of this, want to hear some of your success stories or your clients' success stories, right? Because you're one of the few people that constantly show receipts, right? You constantly show receipts. Pivoting from personal credit to business credit, what big mistakes do you see people making there, right? What are some of the first things that come to mind for you, like on a need to know basis, when people say, okay, I got my personal credit in a pretty good place. My profile probably looks pretty strong. I got, some different accounts that I'm managing pretty well. And now I'm ready to take that leap towards business credit. What are some things that come to your mind that people should be thinking about when it's time to take that leap towards business credit?
One, I got to do it. Get it while you can get it, family. Get it while you can get it. Because here's the problem, right? People always ask me, why do you have so many credit cards? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? Right? Here's my thing. Let me give you the same 3 things that I teach the same time on TikTok every day, to my classes, to whatever. Hear me out. Business does not report to personal credit. Simple, right? When you start to really understand that, it's like, hold on, what you mean by that? Remember, personal reports to personal credit, business reports to business credit, right? If you're approved for a personal anything, right, you cannot remove the inquiry that's next to it. If you're approved for a business anything, right, you may get the hard inquiry, but because that account reports to your what? Your business credit, you remove the hard inquiries. Then when you realize this, Jim, if I use this 50,000, for example, all right.
Y'all take notes. I'll take notes.
If I use this $50,000 Navy Federal personal credit card, right? As soon as I swipe this over 30%, score drops. For as soon as you really start swiping it, right, and you don't pay it back, leave your balance, over time, the score starts to drop. If I swipe one of my 8 American Express business credit cards, right, and I swipe that for 50, 100, whatever I swipe it for, my score will never, ever move. It stays the same, right? Once you realize that, you kind of stop aiming for these personal ones and go for these business ones, because number one, it doesn't report to your personal credit. 2, it's technically unlimited funding, because if I can remove the hard inquiries and keep stacking these cards up and never have to worry about my personal credit going down or the hard inquiry staying, kind of makes sense to get more of those. But number 3, when you realize that you can use your business credit to invest into bigger assets, and you can use those bigger lump sums of money to get those assets, and you can control it, it's like, why would you not do it? And excuse all the sirens, you know what weekend it is. So it's gonna get kind of crazy down here later, family. But ultimately, business credit changed everything for me when I realized that you can buy things and it just that never reports to your personal ever. Like,
Yeah. Nah, that's fire. That's fire, man. I got a quick thought on that, and then I'm gonna ask you to even dive deeper into that around kind of like limits, what you're seeing. Because one thing for me, right, and we've had this conversation, is because accessing capital is challenging, right? And there's money everywhere, but it's always a conversation of what does that money cost you, right? Right now, we're in a higher interest rate environment, so money might cost you a little bit more compared to 5 years ago, right? You need $100,000, $200,000. It's at this rate, right? Does that rate make sense for you, or is that too high, right? And on the flip side, especially for a lot of people in the Black community who need access to capital, you don't want to maybe go give up equity in your business. Equity is expensive, right? If I needed $50,000 for Find a Black Agent right now, the question is, do I want to give up 10% to somebody to go get $50,000? Or is there a way for me to get that through business credit, right? That's why business does become your friend. It becomes something that you leverage, because as Dennell will kind of share here shortly, there's ways and there's timelines that if you act on it quickly enough, there are business credit cards that give you 0% for 12 months, right? What can that do? And that's certainly a lot cheaper than some of those options that I just shared, right? Getting a loan from somebody else, or having to go out and give equity up in your company, right? So that's why anybody serious, especially about real estate, you know, of course, we're a very real estate heavy company, but we speak to the masses in terms of just making sure that you got your ducks in a row, your pieces on the chess table to be able to execute no matter what the opportunity might present. So that being said, Dennell, let's talk about like some of these limits that you're seeing, right? Some of these numbers that you're seeing on the business credit card side, right? Share with me, kind of in this current climate, how much money are people actually getting on the business credit side when they come in with strong profiles and do what they're supposed to do, give or take?
Man, I it depends really. So if you know, Chase gives out at least like 150,000, like capping there on your first card if you know the right numbers to put. The lowest credit card I've ever received on the business side was like $8,000. Highest being, I think, like 52,000. So mind you, this is just through 1 or 2 banks. You don't have to stop, right? Again, one thing about business that I love is that, like Trevor said, 0% interest for 12 to 18 months. So for example, right, you know, I got endless examples for days. because they just be popping up on my phone. I'm like, man, if people knew this, right? So imagine. So I know I'm in a real estate deal right now, right? I spent $10,000 on a credit card, one swipe. You're telling me I got to pay back $103 for a $10,000 swipe?
Crazy.
Diabolical. You know what I'm saying? Like, and more people will get mad that I owe $103, but I swiped for 10.
Facts.
Are you good? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm with that, because at the end of the day, nobody asks these two questions. Why, right? Why did you do that? And what will you get out of it, right? What was the investment, right? Nobody thinks about that. And in our community, we think about, oh, we don't want to pay nobody back. I don't want to owe nobody, but would you rather spend $10,000 today that you have to spend? No choice. Cash. Or use somebody else's money, leverage OPM, right? Knowing that in the next 3 to 4 months, you'll be selling that asset and paying back all the cards and keeping a large profit. Choose your heart. You know what I'm saying?
That's real. Nah, that's important. You know, it's one of those things. It's that old saying, right? The tool is all in who has the tool and what the goal with the tool is, right? At the end of the day, it can be used for good, it can be used for bad, but you're going in it with a right mindset, the right strategy. It's actually life-changing, right? You know, how many people or businesses will still be alive if they didn't have to only operate off of cash flow and could carry this debt, right? And it is nothing different than what we're seeing all these millionaires and billionaires done for decades, right? They're leveraging other people's money, they're keeping more of their cash in their pocket, and only using that as a last resort, right? But time and time again, we're seeing that people are able to move faster because they got capital, right? And that's what Dennell is breaking down to you guys. Taking a step back, right? A lot of people are familiar with the large credit bureaus. They log in, they say Experian, they say Equifax, they say TransUnion. I know you're gonna stop me here because that's my question. I've heard you share in the past that there's other entities and organizations that people actually need to be aware of that are the bigger players. Share with our audience what actually is going on in this credit world and who are the players in this space.
Credit reporting agencies. They're not credit bureaus. Stop giving them all that power. The FBI is a bureau. The CFPB is a bureau. The FTC is a bureau. The BBB is a bureau. The CRAs, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, are meddling people that report all your mistakes and get paid billions to do that. Do not give them no power like that. I cussed out somebody's mother the other day. I don't care. You defamed my integrity with my personal credit report. Your job is to protect me. Yet y'all do a lot more hurting than protecting, right? They're credit reporting agencies. Don't call them credit bureaus. But I digress, and I take it that serious that we don't ever give them that much power, right? When the IRS calls your phone, what happens? You know what I'm saying? But when they call, who is y'all? You know what I'm saying? Trust me, they're not a bureau. So that's why I said, hold on, let's educate the masses. And most people, when you hear bureaus, what happens, Trevor? They get scared.
They get scared.
They don't want to deal with that. They're avoiding that. They're CRAs, subchapter 41. And cornell.law.edu. Go look that up and tell me what the first 3 words you see. Credit reporting agencies. And when you look at all those consumer law codes, it'll make sense then. But I digress. Yes, sir. There are different entities that actually kill you. And it's not even the CRAs. The CRA's job is to furnish the mistakes onto your credit report. You see how this is moving us up? That's crazy. But it furnishes you your mistakes on your credit report. For the SRAs, which are secondary reporting agencies, those are the people that we really need to be more worried about than the CRAs, because the CRA's job is not to go and verify, validate, and report that information, right? Actually, it's against the law for them to do that. The only way they can verify your info is through your what? Personal information. Name, date of birth, social, employer, address. That's the only way. So, i.e., if you're keeping that on your report and you haven't cleaned that in like 10 years, you may want to go check that out, because that's another reason they do that. Now, SRAs are secondary reporting agencies. If the CRAs are getting paid billions, they're getting paid millions. Why? Because their job is to verify, validate, and report your negatives to the CRAs. So
Okay.
when you go and try to dispute your credit and you've seen verified or validated or updated, it's not because of the CRAs that didn't need work. It's that they've reached out to LexisNexis, Innovis, SageStream, CoreLogics, ARS, and the other 75 players to say, hey, did this person do what they said that they didn't do? Let's check their public record real quick, because that's what our job is. Oh, we verified the information. We can validate the information and report it right back to you. And now the CRAs are telling you, oh, we can't remove it because we verified it. So by opting out of your SRAs, your secondary reporting agencies, which are who the what? Middleman, right? They're the middlemen, aka the snitches. If you opt out of them, it's now the CRAs versus us. And I'll take that fight 9 times out of 10 than taking 2 people I got to fight instead of just myself.
Damn, that's some game. Okay, let's break that down a little bit. This is the stuff, right, where I know you give this game in your school community. I know you go live on TikTok. I know that it goes without saying, right? You guys, when you check out Dennell will win, and you just go check the receipts. That's all I'll say, right? Go scroll for a morning, and you'll see this game's been given. But to that particular point, CRAs, SRAs, you got your actual bureaus. These guys are not bureaus. So give me an example. I want to dispute something on my credit, or I see something that is not true on my credit, and I go to send a letter off, or I go to dispute something. Break that logic down again. That's going to the CRA first, and then they're sending that off to a SRA to go validate that information on their behalf. And you're saying essentially cut out the middleman, the SRA, because those CRAs do not move fast enough. And if they don't validate any negative or misinformation, then that puts people in a position to essentially get their credit back in a good place.
1 through 5. 1, pull the report. 2, add accounts. It's called the threshold of 7. If you're under 7 open positive accounts, you need to add up to 7 open positive accounts.
Okay.
Step 3, your SRA opt-outs. By opting out of the middleman, now we don't have to worry about somebody verifying or validating our information, but make sure you clean your personal information too, call the 3 CRAs and say, hey, I want to clean up all this old personal information. Step 4, dispute. Step 5, submit. And remember, the biggest thing is to opt out of them SRAs. Very key. And remember, by doing the first 3 steps, when I get on TikTok, right, this is going to make somebody's day-to-day. I'll lie to you not. But when I get on TikTok, I'll always stop and say, hey, you know, we might have like 100 people in the chat, maybe 175, sometimes 50. And I'll say, can everybody type the number 1 if anybody's ever paid anybody to clean their credit?
Yeah.
Then I'll say, now tell me if you've ever seen this before by your credit repair specialist. And it gets real quiet. You know why? Because people are technically embarrassed or they figure it out that they just wasted their money. Because they know that they've never seen this before. They've never watched somebody show them, pull your report, add the accounts, make sure you have enough positive open accounts. So when it's time to get the deletions and it's time to really start building your report, it's already done, right? Step 3, what is an SRA opt-out? Get them every time. It's like they didn't explain to you that there's other players in this game. It's like it's like us playing the refs at this point, right? We're going at it the whole time. The ref is actually helping the other team out, and we just didn't know. And at that point, you know, they got 20 fouls to our 2. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to figure out why we ain't getting no calls. It's because the SRA's job is to make sure that they win by opting them out, or, you know, pulling the Boondocks play. If you remember when they played the baseball game, pulling that play. Now we got a real chance at winning. And what happened? They won.
Damn. That's deep, y'all. Look, man. I told you he did not come to play. He's an open book. And we'll, by the end of this, right, we'll talk more about if you guys want to, work with Secure Consultant or, join the diversity beaters, things of that nature, right? Because look, it's been time to invest in yourself, right? And when we talk about return on investment, you guys know me, right? I've talked about return on investments in so many different asset classes, stock market, real estate, you break it down. But I would argue that one of the biggest return on investments is having good credit, right? And I know Dennell can speak to that, ad nauseum, because if you think about it, if you got bad credit and you got $5,000 to your name right now, and you come to me and say, hey, Trevor, can I put this in a down payment in a home? Can I put this into a stock market? Can I put this into Bitcoin? Can I put this into a private business? And as you start to run those numbers, especially for my analytical people, you should be running your numbers. 90% of the time, If you are overpaying because you have bad credit, you're overpaying in interest, you're overpaying in the term they might give you, you're overpaying it. That interest is America's fuel, and you don't want to be on the wrong side of that fuel. So Dennell, can you kind of speak to the cost, right? You don't got to give hard numbers unless you got them, but the cost of having bad credit for people that still look at it and say, oh man, I don't need to invest in getting this thing fixed, or I'm okay where I'm at. What is this really costing people out here?
It's costing you a smile. It's costing you literally. I lie to y'all not. Like, it's costing you so, man. Like, yo, and I got so many stories. You know, you're the analytical brother. I'm not analytical. I'm more precedents, right? So I can kind of tell you from stories, right? I've seen my dad struggle tremendously for 5-10 years, to owning a $550,000 home, running a business, about the net 1.3 million this year. You know, buying the car of his dreams, getting his wife the car that she wanted. I've seen my mom able to refinance her home after, you know, really not being able to. She was house broke essentially, right?
Yeah.
Able to help her get her credit situated. Now she was able to refi really on her home, paying way less than she needs to in Fort Washington, Maryland. I look at all my friends and family who are business owners who took the time to fix their credit, right? And let me say something to y'all, like, really. There's no better feeling in the world where you see somebody who's spending about $25,000 in cash every month, right? Every single month, right? Mm-hmm. They're making more than $25,000, but they're spending $25,000. And what happens there, right, is that your deposits and withdrawals come into factors, right? You're depositing, but you're withdrawing a lot out. Mm-hmm. So now you want to get this funding, you want to get some capital for your business, but because you don't have enough credit or credit worthiness to go get it, to leverage it, now it's hurting you. Mm-hmm. Here's my thing. Somebody that can get a zero down on a 2024 car compared to somebody who's going to pay $5,000. Did you know down payments are illegal though? Did you know that?
Nah, I didn't.
Talk about that in a second. To somebody who's going to pay $5,000 now because you have a 580 credit score and you're bringing money with you because you're scared that you're not going to get the car. So you're trying to leverage capital instead of leveraging your credit. 15 United States Code 1605 is determination of finance charge. Anytime your finance charge, which is your Social Security number, is in play, there should be no type comparable transaction for that transaction, right? So if I just put my Social Security card on that contract and you came back, which they usually do as soon as you do that, hey, how much you'll put down on the card today? You should stop them and say, look at the finance charge. My finance charge, which is usually that number, it's a conspicuous number in the box. Yeah. They tell you how much your Social Security card, number, covers for that transaction. If they ask for more cash at that time, you can actually sue that company, or just don't walk out with, just don't pay no down payment to that. May have a little bit higher of a car interest, but here's the thing. You already got a high car note anyway, right? It's 2026. The last thing you want to worry about is put another $5,000 to $10,000 on a car when you have a 700, 800 credit score with a good profile. Don't get finessed out here. 15 United States Code 1605. Determination of finance charge. You do not owe that car company no down payment once your finance charge is on there. And if you put and this is just help. This is not legal advice. This is not none of those things. But I'm telling you, through precedence and experience, I've seen this. If you use 15 United States Code 1635, the right to rescind a certain transaction, you can get your down payment back.
Damn.
So I know it's a little bit off, of course, but
that's not. It's you answered the question. What does it cost you, right? And that's one. You ain't off course at all, my brother. I got to correct you there, man, because it's just like, what does that cost when you deplete your cash, right? Let alone overpaying in interest or paying higher rates for your entire adulthood, right? It's hundreds of thousands, let alone millions of dollars. Nah, man, you answered that perfectly, bro. Damn, I did not know that. I did not know that.
What do you say all the time? The cost of not knowing is costing you a lot of money.
Costing you a lot of money, man. It's that ignorance, man. Shout out Alex Hermosi. I know you and I talked, a lot of our a lot of like-minded, business-minded entrepreneurial people listen to him. And one thing that I like that he said is just that ignorance so everybody out here who may be playing defense, that's good, right? Play at whatever whatever risk you're comfortable with, right? I can turn around and say, hey, man, you should be putting $10,000 into Microsoft stock because it's down. But for some people, that's not their cup of tea, right? Risk tolerance is always the first step in any type of financial approach because it got to meet your personality, right? But one thing that I like that he says is he's okay with paying down ignorance debt, right? And you're listening to Dennell Hines from Secure Consultant. You're listening to these people because you're trying to pay down your ignorance debt. Every dollar that you don't know how to make, every extra dollar in interest that you're paying is all interest debt. And the quicker you pay it down, it is the tuition that life is going to charge you anyway. So I'm glad that, having these conversations, I watched you pay down millions of dollars of ignorance debt over the last 5 years, just because success loves speed, right?
Yes,
that being said, man, cool. So you transition more from, I would call it a, day-to-day implementation, hand-holding people, getting the job done, sending out dispute letters at like you've been in hand-to-hand combat, and now you're starting to transition, right, and progress to another level in, your service offering. Tell the people more right now, what you're pivoting to, what you got going on, and how people, can continue to learn from you, right?
Yes, sir. So, I'm showing a lot today because I tell people I've been proving myself all my life, right? I'm a proving myself MFer, and it is what it is, right? When that the saying, you don't have to prove yourself to nobody, I've actually embodied that, because being 5'6", 165, doing the things that I've done, you take that, right? You have to be that person, right? They're not going to look at me. I played college basketball, didn't play high school basketball, right? There's certain things that when you really embrace it, it changes, right? Because nothing changes if nothing changes. If you don't want to prove yourself, that's fine. But when you really start going after things and understanding that you're proving it to yourself, not to them, proving it to yourself, and it just so happens I just proved myself to you. That's it, right? But I'm actually transitioning into a real estate investor, right? So, I know but family, I bought my first property without using none of my own money, no FHA, no FHA 203K loan, did none of that, right? I took a business line of credit from Truist. I transferred the money to my business checking, and I wired it to a title company after finding a shell in West Baltimore. And the reason why this is something that y'all really need to talk about and listen to, because, and I'm going to put your business out there, right? My big brother probably has a lot of real estate that a lot of people just don't have. And I remember the day we talked almost like an hour and a half as I was driving to Virginia. And he was like, bro, and this was like in 23, if you remember, this was like years ago. He was like, bro, that information that you just shared, bro, I don't believe it. And it's like, to hear that from the person that you looked up to for many years, it's like, I have to figure something out. So then 2 years later, 2 years, 3 years later, because 2 years later, I got that business line of credit, January 25, 2025, right? I didn't know the difference between a line of credit and a credit card yet, right? So let me just explain that real quick. A credit card is a product, right? So show y'all one today, and show them how they can get one today too if they got the credit score. Here it goes. All right. This, we all know what this is. We all know what this is. This is a credit card. This is a product. This, though, is called a personal line of credit, or a line of credit, which means we call it a line of cash, right? If you look closely, this says debit. This is more powerful than this. This is a $50,000 product. This is a $20,000 personal line of credit. The reason why this is more powerful than this, and listen very closely, family, this is a product. We can't clean the cash off the card. However, this comes with $20K already. So when the lenders or the underwriters come and look at my credit report, they're going to say, hold on, this young man has $20K available right now. We can't give him no less than $20K on all or any products that we give him, right? Stick with me. On the business side, they usually give you 2 to 3 higher limits on the business side. So this is a $20K. My business line of credit with Truist is what? $50K. And because it's $50K, that means I have access. Like right now, available access to cash right now. All I gotta do is go up to Truist, give them my ID, and they'll give me what? Cash. Not, oh, we can't give you cash with this. Oh, this is cash, right? I took that line of credit, transferred it to my business checking account, and I wired it to King's Title, drove up and got my deed, and I just bought my first property without putting none of my own money down. And that was actually on my 300 list, right? I'm so in tune with myself. I think it was number 274. I'm so in tune with myself Nope, 269. I do not want to use my own money to purchase my first property. Checked it off the list. I did it.
What is that you showing? Sorry, that was your to-do list, right? That was your
My
goal.
300 list. My 300 list. Shout out to Steve Harvey. You know what I'm saying? I wrote this down in October 7th, 2022. I bought my first property with no money down May 17th, 2025. Manifestation's real, family, especially when you have access to business funding and you're able to use their money. Nothing reports to your personal credit report, but most importantly, you understand assets.
Different ball game.
Different. Choose your heart. You know what I'm saying? Do you want to work harder, working a 9 to 5, not understanding this, or do you want to work harder, learning something new that can change your life forever?
Nah, that's fire. That's fire. And as y'all heard him say, right, like, it's very important to listen, even when you think you know more than someone else, right? Like when Dennell got really deep into this world of credit, I knew more than him. I didn't know more about him. I didn't know more than he knew about something that would have made my life a lot easier, right? And I think, humility and just learning how to just listen to people is extremely important, right? Especially when you know that they're coming from a good place. And that might take time. Everybody doesn't come from a good place, but you got to go through that work as well of finding who does, right? And so Dennell, we had an existing relationship. Here I am at this point, whatever, at that point, 2023, 4 or 5 years in the real estate, but I'm doing it in a way that did work, but still open to learning, right? So for all of my people out there, right, save up some cash, take a leverage, a loan against a 401k, 50% of the value, pay that back over 10 to 15 years, build some stock liquidity, roll over, all of those things, right, work for the traditional manner. But for my investment-minded folks as well, two things can be true at once, right? Not only should you be taking some time to check the box, because time in the market is even more important than time in the market, right? I don't regret doing the traditional way, right? I got equity in all those homes, but as it came time to now accelerate and speed, and you ask yourself, damn, how are these folks from these other communities spinning up 10 apartment complexes at once? How are these folks from these other communities coming in buying up blocks at once? They're doing one of two things, right? They're either syndicating capital, meaning they're bringing together capital from many, many people, right? It's 100 of us. We're going to go buy up, all of this block on, in Richmond, Virginia, right? Or they're leveraging primarily their own capital and credit like Dennell has done, right? So it allows you to move with speed, right? And again, while you're doing it the slower, try or true way, that is good still. We want you all to get into whatever it might be, real estate, your own personal ventures. However, the best people are able to juggle multiple tasks at once. So you need to start establishing the profiles, getting your credit right, establishing a business credit, because when those opportunities pop up a year and a half from now, you want to be able to move with speed. And that's what capital does, right? And so when he shared that with me and he started to get, I literally paid for Dennell, right, like years ago. And my return has been there, right? My return has literally been there from what I put in, the knowledge I got out, not just the knowledge, the capital. I got lines of credit. I got business credit cards. Those things were foreign to me, right? And it's someone with 2 business degrees, right? I went to business school twice. And no one still talks to us about access to capital, leveraging it, and all that good stuff, right? So I had to, get his brother his flowers, because it's real. It's real. It's real, man. Cool. So D, as we start to wrap things up here, y'all can get a heavy dosage of this brother moving forward, right? Because as people are coming in, I don't care where you guys listen to this, right? Dallas, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, the DMV, the Midwest, credit affects us all. And we will make sure to keep bringing Dennell in to impart some gains. So as we start to wrap some things up, man, tell us a little bit more about Adversity Beaters, the school community. Tell us more about just how people can stay tapped in with you, brother.
Yes, sir. So, it's crazy, right? I don't think nobody gives me enough props. I created a group that helps you beat adversity, right? Everybody talks about, we go through stuff in life, obstacles, long journey, stuff of that nature. And I remember sitting in my car and I said, man, what if I could create something that could help people beat adversity? The Adversity Beaters was born. And it's to see people go from homeless to homes, to see people who can't get access to their first auto loan because they got 2 repos, get a new auto loan, and understand, like, this is my third chance in life. I can't mess it up, to, people learning that they can buy real estate with using none of their own money, to people that just never had a good credit score, essentially learning how to come in and take the knowledge, information, value, and education and use it to better their life, right? One thing that I've noticed through this whole journey of things, and I think this keeps make it very short. Once I realized that you can use somebody else's money to make money, then I also realized that you actually don't need money to make money. You just need your mind to make money. And at that point, shout out to MG or Mr. Myron Golden. Once you really realize that and start really breaking down the 4 levels of income, the 4 levels of value, and really just starting to really look at yourself, you'll realize that it's just a generational curse, right? It's a generational curse that we're a part of. And that was another reason why I created, my mentorships, adversity beaters. And I've been, keeping this journey going, because this is the work that nobody wants to do. Nobody wants to be positive. Nobody doesn't want to be, positive and not be flashy. Nobody doesn't. It's so many things I could say today, because it's crazy, right? I just took a drove from Arlington, Virginia, Baltimore last night. And I was just thinking man, the calls I've gotten this week has been crazy. People were saying bro, I could see what you was doing, but it was just smoke.
Yeah.
Right? It was so much going on, but now it's we can't unsee you, right? We see from 2002 to 2022 to now, you've never stopped, right? You've never took a break. It's you keep turning up, and we don't understand why you keep going up. And, in life, you usually see somebody stop. I haven't stopped. And that's just because, the best bet that I ever made in my life was on me. You know what I'm saying? I once I took that investment and put it in here, turned everything around. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, done is better than perfect, because perfect is never done. And if you're waiting for the perfect time, something will never come. Just get her done, right? And at some point, I realized that my perfect time literally was never coming, right? The perfect time that I thought was coming wasn't coming. So the perfect time that I'm really waiting for damn sure ain't coming. So I just took a step, right? And I just pray that you take a step, right? Whether it's with me, whether it's with Trevor, whether it's with, anybody with Find a Black Agent, whether it's with anybody in life, right? Just remember that perfect time will never come. Just get it done. We'll figure it out on the way. And, nothing changes if nothing changes. So
real.
Find me on Instagram at Dennell Will Win. Twin Will Win on TikTok. And just bet on yourself, man. Before you bet on FanDuel, DraftKings, before you bet and go to school, before you bet on your 9 to 5, before you bet on your wife, before you bet on your husband, before you bet on your kids, before you bet on everything else besides yourself, just remember this one thing. Just one thing. If you're on your deathbed, and you know who said this, shout out to Denzel Washington, and all of your goals and aspirations, dreams are around you, and they're sitting there just going on you. You have so much potential. You could have did this. You could have did that. Just think about, can you stomach that today? Can you really be that person to look all of your dreams and aspirations in the face and tell them that I let y'all down? If you're not ready to do that, start today. Done is better than perfect, because perfect is never done.
Ladies and gentlemen, it would be a disservice for me to follow up on anything with that. Look, write y'all goals down. The brother that wrote 300 goals down, pen to paper, got it done. Look, nothing changes if nothing changes. Take a leap. Take that leap, get out there and start to get your affairs in order, because someone's counting on you, right? And that person should start with yourself. Dennell Hines Jr., we appreciate you coming on, brother. To many more in the future. Y'all stay tapped in with the Kitchen Table and Find a Black Agent. We'll see y'all in the next episode.